good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Sheila, the host of Essence and You, and today we have Miss Veronie Veronie
Veronie.
Veronie Anderson with us. Could you please
Yes.
tell us about yourself, ma'am? Thank
Of
you.
course. I am Veronie Anderson, the love catalyst, and I help women shift from breakup to love up. I love empowerment. I love feminine energetics. I love learning. And so that's who I am in a
So what
nutshell.
what does the love catalyst mean actually? What is that?
So I help people open their heart. Women especially, we love to like guard our hearts after we've been hurt. We like close down and shut our hearts off, right? And our heart is more electromagnet than our brain, and we attract from our heart. And
Mhm.
so I teach women not to close off their heart, but just to have be in touch with their intuition, right? And so they could hear from their intuition and they have boundary. So their heart is still, what would I say, protected,
Mhm.
but not closed off. Because when you close off your heart, you're not just closing it off to the outside world, you're closing it off from yourself also. And you are the most important person to you.
How did you how did you come up with Love Catalyst? I've never that's when I saw you,
Yeah.
I saw you on another podcast and then I've been following you on Instagram. And I was like, what is, where did she come up with that? How did that
So on my journey, I guess I wanted to talk about like breakup and I want to say a breakup coach. And I was working with a business mentor and she was like, breakup is kind of negative.
Mhm.
So I need to come up with something else. And actually, I think she was the one who came up with like Love Catalyst. And I was like, oh, I love it, and I just stick to it from there. I think it fits me so well. And when I think I did something about my sign, and that like just is in alignment with just my stars.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Cause it is a very unique name and it's very catchy and it does make you wanna say so, I'm all about women's empowerment because goodness knows we have been through it in all of our lifetimes, in all generations and centuries and everything. And we're always seem to, I wouldn't say come out with the short end of the stick, but come out sometimes with the short end of the stick. And if we find empowerment in ourselves because that's what the essence in you is all about. Once you find it in you, because God places everything within you to do whatever you want to do, you don't have to look outside because it's all inside. That's how I feel about that. I don't know what your thought process is about that.
Definitely. So I'm a Jamaican. I start with that first because, just love
Hmm.
our culture. So Jamaican have like a lot of church per capita, I guess, in the world, right? So
Hmm.
we were religiously, what would I say, programmed. And
Hmm.
we saw God as this white man on the outside of us. And a lot of people still think that way, right?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
had to like deprogram myself, like
Yes.
really deprogram myself. And so when I talk about God, or when maybe I say certain things certain time and people get like offended, I said, listen, God is within me, right?
Hmm.
Or I
Hmm.
say, I am God in human flesh, right? So I'm a
Hmm.
spark of the divine. So I'm talking about me. I said, I don't know. Maybe you're still praising a white person,
Hmm.
but I know, right? If I am making the image of God and I'm a woman and I'm black, then this is the God I see when I look
Hmm.
in the mirror, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. And we all have been programmed that way. 'Cause I went to all Catholic schools, and so, yeah, that could be a whole different conversation,
That could be a whole different
that one,
Yeah.
But, what on your self-love journey, because you said you had to do your self-love journey, which means that you had to really go within. How did you do that and what sparked that?
Okay, so the spark was like, okay, so I remember. So this is what I remember.
Mhm,
I remember coming home one evening, right? And as I said before, I'm a Jamaican, right?
mhm,
And so it was always the American dream, the education. I've always been in a relationship. And, I went to college, I got my master's degree, I bought a house, all of that, right? And on my way home, and I remember sitting in my driveway and I said, if this is what life is about, oh God, please, this is the most boringest thing. I don't want to live like this. There is no excitement. There is nothing. And the very next day, my life fell apart. Right. My life fell apart where somebody who I thought was going to be my soulmate or,
Yes.
we broke up. And so that person was like my best friend. He wasn't just my lover or my partner. He was my best friend. He was the person who I talked to like for everything, right? And so when that
Yes.
person came out of my life, not only did I lose a lover, I lose a best friend. So my whole world, like, and he was like an advisor to me, right?
Mhm.
So my whole world crumbled. My whole world crumbled. Well, I was still functioning, doing my job, taking care of my baby, but my inside crumbled, my soul crumbled, like everything crumbled. So I
Mhm.
had like a soul crushing heartbreak that if you look in my eyes, you could see the pain that was in it. Like you could just see that there was something wrong with me. Right.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so um I you know how they say the best way to get over a breakup is to get under a man? I
Mhm.
couldn't even do that. Right. I
Mhm.
couldn't even do that. Right. And so I was just like, I just got to walk through this fire. And that's what I did. And so I wanted to like, and I'm going to say healing now, even though I changed my mind about that. And I'll tell you later.
Mhm.
So I wanted to understand what was going on with me, right? Because I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I was in so much pain,
Mhm.
right? And I had like anxiety, just just everything was just wrong with me. I was just in constant pain, even though there wasn't like a physical cut. I was
Right.
in constant pain. And I just wanted to understand. And so I started to read book about like breakup, just to understand like how I was feeling. And then, I started to go to like Reiki. I started to maybe do psychic. I just started to do everything. And so the more I dig, right, it just opened up a whole world for me.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so with opening up that world, like with with say the moon cycle and just how
Yes.
powerful woman is, it just opened just a whole, it kind of like this veil
Yes.
just lifted,
Yes.
right? And I was like, oh my God. And then I started to understand about like sexual, just sexuality. And then so online, if my or earlier YouTube, I was actually going through a breakup, right? And I was learning about sexuality while I was doing my YouTube.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
everything I was going through, I was teaching at the same time. Right.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my God, women are so powerful. I didn't understand. Right.
Mhm.
And so that's how my whole journey started. And at that time, it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Right.
Mhm.
And when I started to talk about sexuality on YouTube and talk about it on Facebook and being a little risque with just my pictures and stuff, people used to say I was crazy. And my parents, they did like an intervention, and everybody was
Oh
like,
my goodness. They really thought you went off the deep
they
end.
they really thought I went off the rockers. How would my daughter feel? And oh my God, I'm not going to get a job, and just everything. Like I was the talk of the town, and just how crazy I am. But to me, I was liberated. I was free, right? I was like truly liberated. And I was like, oh my God, us as women is like really powerful. That just put something else in me. I feel like I'm cemented now, right? Like I'm cemented in my power because I know who I am, and I don't have to prove it. I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to do anything. I just know who I am.
You just be.
Yes.
You just be. And that is absolutely empowering, that story just all in itself. I mean, you really found you. You
Mm,
explored you, you found you, and then you're like, "Wait a minute. I'm just like a lotus coming out
yes.
of the mud and
Yep.
exploding here."
Yep.
So, I mean, that's beautiful. And I'm just, can you imagine how many women don't know who they are? How they as far Let me back up. You can identify yourself but do you know who you are? Like, you can identify you as a wife, a mother, a homeowner, but who are you really inside? Who are you really? And I don't know how old you are, but when I was growing up, our existence was to make sure you get married.
Mhm.
The electives in the high school was typing, shorthand, and home ec,
Hmm.
so and if you didn't get married at a certain time, you know, something must be wrong with you. Or even in high school, if you didn't have a boyfriend, something must be wrong or she can't keep a man or whatever. But now that I look back on some of those young women, it's not that they couldn't get anybody. They were just confident in themselves and they had a goal or vision that they wanted to achieve. But look at all that mess, you
Right?
know, that they had to go through. That's
Yes.
strong. You had to be strong to do that.
I know. I'm going to be 50 in March. I'm going to be 50 in March. And so, yes, in school. And, when I look back at my life, and I think about it, even in high school, when they give us a choice where we have to do the home ec or business or typing, I choose
Mhm.
electrical.
Mhm.
My thing that I choose was electrical. I was like, I don't want to be that. And even today, one of my friends is like, Veroni, why did you choose electrical? I said, I just didn't want to fit in the regular thing as the woman
Mhm.
them. Everybody was business and everybody was this, and I just wanted something else. I
Mhm.
just didn't want to do that. So that's the reason why I chose electrical. So I know that there is something within me that was like a disruptor, but I just didn't know how to put it into words.
Mhm. And look at you now. So that breakup, which I can understand, you always at least has that one breakup that you just your reality is not your reality,
Hmm.
or so that you think it was, and that could be the hardest one to shake. Eventually, you do, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it took me a while to shake it. It took me a very, very long time to like shake it. So I didn't have a relationship for a long time. And I
Mhm.
think it was starting to like scare people because it happened when I was like 37. And
Mhm.
so even, like 41, there were like friends was like, Veroni, it's kind of too late. You got to, I know you say you want to do your thing and you don't want a relationship, but they were like, isn't it about time you put yourself back on the market? Isn't it about time you put yourself? And I was like, no, I'm not ready. And they were like,
Mhm.
oh, you're coming to that age where it's going to be hard for women to find somebody. I know, you're pretty independent and you look good and all of that, but
Mhm.
I think you should. And I was like, I'm not ready, right? I'm not ready
Mhm.
because that was the first time I was like, I would say consciously single. Like I
Mhm.
chose to be consciously
I like
single.
that.
And I think every woman should choose to be consciously single, not by
Mhm.
default hoping to get a man,
Yep.
but consciously. I am not ready for a relationship. I just need to.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's when you actually find yourself because you don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to explain yourself. If you don't want to go, do the dishes before you go to bed, you don't have to. You could just go or have your office, as I used to do, have my office on the side of the bed. Like I'm on this side sleeping and I have like my office space, like right here with my computer over here, my books are what I want to read, you know? And that's just the point of finding you. Wow.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what they didn't know too, because I was talking about sex and because I post some risque picture online because I was promoting women's sexuality and
Mm-hmm.
just orgasm and like all of that. And when I was speaking about it, the woman, they wouldn't talk to me like on the comments, but they will come into the back and say, please continue to speak about this because this is helping me. Because, I didn't have a voice in the bedroom. I didn't speak about certain things. I didn't talk about certain things,
Mm-hmm.
but you are helping me because I was like, my God, can't believe maybe she show up in her bra and her underwear, or maybe she show up like, in a naked pose where just the imagination, whatever. And she's
Uh-huh.
talking about some stuff. They're like,
Your parents like,
Yes. So they were taking in, they were like, let me see what Veroni's going to post. The crazy person. Let me see what Veroni's going to post. So it was when I was ready for a relationship, it was very important for me to get somebody who was going to match my personality or
Mhm.
who was going to accept that, okay, Veroni is, what would I say? She talk about sexuality, right? She's a little bit risque. She's into crystals. She's into going outside and dancing in the rain in the moonlight, right? She will come in and you'll see all herbs just burning or something. She will just do some crazy shit, right? That you don't
Mhm.
understand. And so I needed the person to be okay with that. At that point too, I also have like a nice house and I
Mhm.
also have like a nice car. So I
Mhm.
needed a person to be okay with every all part of me, not just one. I was going to compartmentalize myself for anybody. So I
Yeah.
needed like that man to understand like every side, right?
Mhm.
And
Every aspect.
yes, and when I tell you I did manifest, I said this person actually dropped in my lap, like push. This person dropped into my lap. And when I tell you that the universe just align us like this, like I don't I don't even want to go into all the story where we just he dropped in my lap and then we click like this within whatever, but it
Mhm.
was just miracles. I would say upon miracles are with this person and he understand because one of the questions that he asked me was like, I want to know everything about you. Don't even hide the deepest secret.
Mhm.
I, you know, I want to know everything. And he
Mhm.
have a hold me from then since now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and that's important,
Mhm.
especially since you had already been through a bad breakup
Mhm.
and you have found yourself, you know, every aspect of yourself. And then a lot of us would revert back to what we used to be and lose what we have become.
Yeah.
And
So
that
you can finish. So something just drop it. Sometimes things drop in my spirit. And when
Mhm.
things drop in my spirit, I sometimes get a little bit scared, right?
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
because I haven't heard people talk about it. And I'm like, "Ugh, she maybe I shouldn't have said that, right?"
Mhm.
But yesterday something dropped in my spirit and it says, you I'm not gonna use healing anymore. And this is me. This is me.
Mhm. Mhm.
I said, when something happened to you, sometimes people it happened to you and people are stuck in this, oh, I have to heal, and they have to go backwards, right?
Mhm.
Instead of
Mhm.
something happened to you and it's a awakening. You
Mhm.
are actually peeling off the layers, right? Like a
Mhm.
snake, like an onion, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
people like stop to be like, oh, I have to heal. I have to go backwards. I got to look everything behind. And they don't actually go forward. But if you keep moving forward and peeling off your skin, it's an awakening you're having to remember who you are, the purpose that you're here to fulfill on the earth, and the gift or the service that you have to give to humankind, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
people, they are so stuck in this healing, healing, healing when you're awakening. The mask
Mhm.
is coming off, right?
Yes.
So keep moving forward.
Yeah, everybody talks about shadow work, doing your shadow work, And I'm sure that works for some people, but I'm, doing my self-discovery myself. So I'm like, okay, well, what shadow work do I and I'm like, well, I don't want to think about that because I don't that's not it's gone. So what can I do about it? Does it affect me now? It could, but if I'm aware of it, then I don't have to let it affect me now, if that's the case. Or I could be totally off with that. I don't know, but
No,
I
you're not
struggle with
off.
I struggle with that shadow work stuff because I'm like, no, I have a vision. So, and like you said, I'm shedding that snake skin because the snake skin, when you shed it, that's a rebirth. You're peeling the layers of the onions so you can find the core within inside, which is your essence. So I do struggle with that shadow work stuff. Yeah.
Was going to do a post about shadow work and said that's the craziest thing because the shadow is not really you. The shadow, so
Mhm.
if you stand up, right, and you
Mhm.
stand up and you see your shadow, it's just the shadow. The shadow doesn't have feelings.
Right.
The shadow doesn't have blood, bone, emotion. The shadow doesn't have a thought. Shadow
Mhm.
doesn't have a vision. The shadow doesn't have anything. It's just a reflection of you, right? And if you, in order to change the shadow, you got to change you.
Yes.
You are the powerful one. You are the one in charge. So why do something on shadow work when the shadow doesn't have any power? It's you
Mhm.
who have the power.
Mhm.
So I am not into shadow work, but you learn as you go.
Yes.
And as I said, things jump into your, and you discover stuff.
And you have to learn to listen to your spirit and that those voices. That's another thing, listening to
Yeah.
your intuition, your gut, because it does tell you what to do. I have a hard time. I hear it and I'm like, oh, and I'll still do something else. Someone them hit me up against the. Did you not hear
No,
me?
I have learned because I have like circumstances or things that happen to me that is so vivid when
Mhm.
it drop into my spirit where it says, don't do this. Like I have two stories. I was working at a job and I was about to throw away like a paper, like a envelope because a mail thing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And you send the mail and then it's certified that you still have it. So I kept it. But it was like, maybe it was like 1 year or 2 years. And I was like, why am
Mhm.
I still holding on to the paper? And I was about to throw it away. And something dropped in my spirit and said, don't. And I put it back. And I
Mhm.
tell you, we had an audit and they wanted to know how am I going to prove, and this is a state audit where we would have been fined. How am I going to prove that I send the thing out to the person that I had to show that I sent it?
Well, luckily you kept that paper.
Yep. So I was like, when the voice is like that, because your intuition comes suddenly. Intuition comes suddenly and it's kind of like loud, I would say. That
Mhm.
voice, it just comes, right? Clear, no doubt. Just quick, clear, easy. The doubt, when you don't listen to your intuition, right? And
Yep.
then all that chatter, that's not your intuition. That's your doubt and your fears coming up. So the intuition is clear. So
Yeah.
yeah, but even though it depends on the time of the month where I'll be braver than some, right? And I'll maybe
Mhm.
say it depends on my messages that get. Sometimes I'll be brave enough to put it out and sometimes I won't, but eventually I get up back that nerve and I'll be like, let's just put it out. I got the message. So yeah.
Man, that's that intuition. You always have to listen to it or or be hard-headed like me and know not to do it. Or like you, I get a feeling like, I don't think I want to do that. Then my husband asked me, "Well, why don't you want to do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just don't want to do it." And somebody said that's like a direct. I guess
Hmm.
there's different channels or like that. Like that was a direct cuz I don't know why. I just know not.
Okay. Um, what I know about myself
Mhm.
and say confident. So this is the thing. So a lot of women think that they have to be confident all the time. They have to be outgoing all the time. They have to be smiley all the time. But if you
Mhm.
study your moon cycle, right, you know that you're like Mother Earth. You go through summer, spring, autumn, winter, right? And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
in the summertime, you're more outgoing, right? You want to talk to people, you want to be with people, right? In the
Mhm.
autumn, you're kind of, withdrawing a little bit, not too there, but you're kind of observant a little bit. In the springtime, you're planting seeds, you're planting ideas, right? But in the
Mhm.
winter
Mhm.
time, right, that's when you exclude, you shut off from people. I got to go back to autumn. In the autumn is where I call the autumn your truth cycle, right?
Mhm.
Because that's where doubts and fear comes up. That's the one that they call the one before the period, right?
Mhm.
That's where the doubts and the fear and the fact that, oh, I don't like that my body, you question your body, right? A little bit, because that's when you're inside of yourself. So that's when you automatically would say, do your own shadow work. Your body's doing your own shadow work, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Your cycle,
Gotcha.
the cycle. So it's like your whole self healing thing that you go through, right?
Mhm. Right.
And then when your period, you like cleanse, you
Yes.
shed, right? So
Yes.
that cycle. So women have their own self healing wheel inside of them.
That's
They
true.
don't even that they don't even realize that they have. So because we're cyclic beings, sometimes you're confident, you're outgoing, and sometimes you doubt yourself a little bit.
Yeah. You just don't feel it.
You just don't feel it, right?
Yeah. Yep, you just don't feel it.
You just don't
Like,
feel.
I'm not feeling it today, one of those type of deals. I ain't feeling it today. That is interesting because I do like, we're supposed to have a supermoon tonight, and they say, if you have your crystals, which I do,
Mhm,
you can cleanse your crystals and, um, write a note and burn it so you can
mhm.
not rejuvenate, but
Release.
reset, like, reset yourself. So do you with you and your crystals, how did you get into crystals? Let me ask that.
How
I
did
love
I get
crystals.
into crystals? So one of the I wanted to do a course for myself that named Soul Shift, right? And I put it
Mhm,
out there, and it didn't sell. And then one night, something said Google Soul Shift, right?
mhm,
And when I
mhm,
Googled Soul Shift, there was this person in California. It was Sage Goddess had a program called Soul Shift.
mhm.
So so I signed up for that program immediately, right?
Huh?
And then there was classes, and she sent out crystal, and she teach about crystal, she teach about herbs, she teach about essential oils. And then there was like integration, and then all of that. So that's how I would learn about crystal grids and just all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Actually, this ring that I love more than anything in the world is one of the rings from her. I do crystals, and I had like some big clear quartz that she sent, because she used to send like packages. So that's how I learn about clear quartz. I learn about crystal. I'm not too the best person on them. I just
Mhm.
see them, like them, know what some of them are, and you know.
You're like me. If I see it, I like it, and I'll get it, and then I'll look it up to see what it does, and you know, I
Mhm.
become a crystal. I'm not saying a crystal guru because I'm definitely far from that, but I do love the energies that they do for you. They do have certain modalities that works for like an amethyst for stress or stress relief, and you have the rose quartz. That's for love. So yeah, I'm into all that there, all
Yeah,
that.
I have. So it's funny. So I have this clear quartz ring, and I know
Mhm,
it's this amplify energy. So I have this. I like it because it's clean. And then I have this motivite and this hermatite crystal bracelet
mhm,
that I bought because I love it, and I know motivite is like it's very transformative. So
mhm.
before you put on motivite, it will make you feel dizzy. So you kind of have to get accustomed to, yes, you kind of have
Really?
to get, yes. And so you have to get accustomed to this energy. And so they said if you want to change your life, you get like a motivite, right? And it will shake up your life somewhere, somehow. So you got to be careful before
So hopefully it shakes it in a good way,
it shakes it in a good way.
and you're not sitting there going through another like devastating heartbreak or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 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 no. I had this for a long time though. So I have this for like a very long time. I guess when I was going through all of that and learning about like herbs and stuff, yeah, I had it and I love it and I bought it.
Now it's funny that you mentioned Motivite because a young lady I was talking to on right before you on my last podcast, she had mentioned a certain crystal. It must
Mhm.
be Crystal Day today. She had mentioned a certain crystal that she said that I have to get, and I think it was the Motivite, what you just said, because I hadn't heard of it till then. So I'll try that. I will try that. So what advice can you give a young woman so that she won't lose herself or that she can look for the signs and know how to self-correct, or how can you help with anybody with that?
What I would give a young woman right now. So I would say, don't jump from your mom house, your father house to a relationship just
Mhm.
because when you were with your parents, they were the one in power. They were the one who was in leadership, right?
Mhm.
So when you leave your parents' house, don't just jump into a relationship. You need to figure out leadership by yourself, right? You need to
Mhm.
know how to do just the basic thing that woman should do, right? I would say you need to have your own money, learn
Mhm.
how to take care of your basic needs as a woman, right? It's
Mhm.
not anything, when women say that they're independent, that's it's a basic necessity. You need to be
Mhm.
independent. If you could learn some financial thing about money, do that, right? Find out what your purpose is. But most importantly, form a spiritual practice, right? Form something where you connect to yourself, where you have
Mhm.
some alone time with yourself, where your energy is not infused with other people,
Mhm.
right? I also would say that you should have form an identity, whatever identity you want at that time. Do you want to be a student? Then you form a student identity, right? But your
Mhm. Mhm.
identity should not be based on anyone,
Mhm.
right? So that's what I will tell them. And your life, you manifest, right, based on your identity, right? So the identity that you choose should be a positive identity, right? So
Mhm.
you shouldn't choose, my God, I'm so unlucky. My God, things is always happening to me. Because if you choose the victim, the universe is going to match that frequency, and then you are constantly going to prove that you are a victim. Then
Mhm.
that is a situation is going to happen, and is going to solidify that, oh my God, stuff bad stuff is always happening to me, that I'm a victim. And then you're going to have a life that you are very unhappy with, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
get an identity that you are going to be proud of, and that you could have a good life. One more thing that I will tell them too is that you don't have to have pain before peace. You could just have
Mm.
peace.
Mm.
You don't have to struggle before ease.
Yeah.
Mhm. You don't have
Yeah.
to work hard before you get rich,
Yeah.
right? And try to question everything, even what your mom said, your teacher said. Try to debunk stuff for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. Because I have learned, especially about, you know, spirituality versus religion. I have learned a lot of things just researching myself.
Mhm.
And then once you know those particular things, you can't go back to the organized
Mhm.
stuff of what I grew up in. Not, it's good for those people. Those people are, that's what they know. And then, but I just know different, so yeah.
Yeah, but this is one thing I know is that just like how you needed time to be awakened and or to realize or to have some self-awareness or consciousness,
Mhm.
everybody else need their time to something,
Mhm.
some impetus,
Yep.
some sparks, some catalyst that's going to make them like open their eyes and wake up.
Yeah. And then once they do, they won't go back either.
They won't go back because
Yep.
once elastic is stretched, you can't go back to its original size.
That's right. It's not like a rubber band. You got that
Yes,
right.
yes, right.
Yeah. What in your life right now are you most proud of yourself for?
Proud of right now.
Mhm.
Took oh, I take a couple leaps. I took a couple leaps the other day. First, I started like a home healthcare business, and even though it didn't work out or I stopped it,
Mhm.
I still jump off the ledge, right? I jump off the ledge, and I always have a job, and I quit the job and I jump off the ledge.
Mhm.
So I am proud of that, right?
Mhm.
I will always be proud of my daughter, or the
Mhm.
relationship with my daughter, or the woman that I see her as. And I know that I am the one who kind of shaped that, right?
Mhm.
I'm just proud of me overall. I'm proud of my relationships. I am proud of just the relationship that I cultivate and just the life that I have here. Oh, gee. Yeah. it- I have a lot of things to be proud of. So I moved out of state for this guy, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Sold my house, changed everything. And when I was going to do it, I got like a pushback. Oh my God, there was so much pushback. My family, they were like, why? There was like a lot of pushbacks, right? A
Mhm,
lot of
mhm.
pushbacks because they, once you buy a house, they don't think that you should ever sell a house because it's the American dream and that's their
Mhm.
retire that's the retirement, and they think that you should just be that for the rest of your life, right?
Right.
But I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to be a homeowner, right? Or I
Mhm.
didn't want to be a homeowner by myself because it was so hard. And so I moved from another state, right? And I moved from another state. I moved my daughter, and I moved my daughter in when she was 16, and people be like, "Oh my God, you're moving your daughter." And I said, sometimes you just have to make the decision, and you make the decision. I said, I am the mom,
Yes.
I am the woman, I am leading the ship, and I'm making the decision. If it could not work out with the guy and your whatever, I said, even if it doesn't work out, it is working out right now. And that's all
Mhm.
I know. It doesn't have to last forever. And if it doesn't last forever, I know I will still have some good years. And that's all I know.
That's right.
Right. And so, and I said, nothing lasts forever anyway.
Mhm.
Right. And so I make that decision, and it have been, when I tell you, the best decision for my daughter, because she blossomed even more than I did.
That's beautiful.
She excelled more than I did. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the best decision I've ever made." And everyone who was so against everything is like they're now so in love with this guy,
Isn't that how it always happens?
right? They're so in love, and we're always hosting parties, or we're hosting some family thing, and everybody always want to come here.
Mhm.
Yep. So you see,
Take the leap.
take the leap.
Take the leap. Yeah. That's that. Yeah. I can attest to that. And that's so encouraging, and it takes courage. And it takes self-confidence as far as what you truly believe that you want and what you know you can do, regardless on what happens.
Mhm.
That's fabulous. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share that you want people to know?
Is there anything else?
Mhm.
Just, I'm going to tell woman, my daughters is bugging me for, is there food left over? So I'll tell women that to check their beliefs, right? Whatever you're believing, is it serving your life? Is it whatever you're believing, that belief that you have, is it making your life better?
Mhm.
If it's not making your life better, change it, right?
Right?
And I'll also tell them, form your own stories. Don't live your mother life, your
Mm.
sister life, your cousin life. Live your own life,
Mhm.
right? And there are going to be challenges, and sometimes it's going to be hard, but face them, because it's going to make you a better person.
Mhm.
It's going to make you a better person.
Mhm.
Learning, keep learning. There is just so much out there. Just keep learning that you are so, oh my God, woman, if you just know how powerful you are, right? Just how powerful you are. Just keep learning. Just keep learning.
That is very powerful words. Very powerful. Very powerful. Where can everybody find you?
They could find me on TikTok. I think it's at Love Catalyst 222. The same thing on YouTube, Love Catalyst 222. On Instagram is Veronie Anderson _ Love Catalyst.
Mhm.
Yeah, but as my daughter said, because my name is so unique, if you
Yes.
Google me, she said I am right on the top.
Yes, you are. Because I had to Google you. Yes, I did. To
Yeah.
find you, I had to try to Google you to make sure it was the
Ye-
right person when I
Yes, yes,
contacted
yes.
you, but
Yes,
I
yes.
like to say thank you so very much. I have learned a lot. I've enjoyed our conversation, and I hope that you and I stay in contact and chat again.
Definitely.
That
Definitely.
that'll be a wonderful thing, and I'm gonna say, everybody, hey, please join us for this conversation. Like, subscribe, and share. Go to her YouTube channel. Check her out on Instagram. Everything will be in the show notes. She's on TikTok. Yeah, she's it. She's it.
I'm all
Well,
over.
ladies, yeah, she is. Well,
It was such a pleasure.
you too. You too.
All right.
Well,
Thank you
ladies
so
and
much.
gents, thank you. Do you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I said thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, and bye for now.
Bye.